While the world spent the last 20 years chasing a faster, brighter, louder life, I chose to step aside. I'm 44 years old, and for nearly 2 decades I've been living as a voluntarily hermit. When you hear the word hermit, you might think this video has nothing to do with your life. But let's be completely honest, my dear friend. Deep down, every single one of us is a hermit. It's that universal heavy craving you feel at the end of a chaotic week. That desperate need to tell the entire world to just go to hell, even if it's only for an hour. To unplug the router, lock the door, drop the crushing weight of your responsibilities, and just disappear into the silence where no one can demand anything from you. The only difference between you and me is that you look for this sanctuary in microdoses, while I decided to build my entire reality inside it. In my early 20s, I erased myself from the social race, from social life entirely. You guessed it, I dropped out. Look at your own schedule right now. The endless meetings, the texts you don't want to answer, the constant rush to a future that never arrives. When you're 25 and everyone tells you that this race is the only way to exist, walking into total oblivion feels like psychological suicide. But it was a conscious, beautifully liberating choice. A deep desire to live by my own rules, move at my own speeds, and navigate my own direction. In a world where solitude is feared like a terminal diagnosis, I wanted to see what happens when you treat it as a premium luxury. You might think this experiment requires millions in a bank account or a complete lack of sanity. It doesn't. In fact, it reveals the beautiful truth about the matrix you are currently running in. Today, I want to share what I've discovered during these 20 years. Nearly half of my life. Quite a long experiment, wouldn't you say? And perhaps it's the exact conversation you need to hear tonight to finally let yourself breathe. How does a young, promising woman with a big future ahead of her just step out, leaving it all for the silence of life? I've already shared my escape from the matrix in previous videos, but I left out the most important part. All these years, I wasn't just living a quiet life. I was a true hermit. It's easy to get the wrong impression. You might think I quit the city and my career just for pleasure, a bit of country slow living at first, followed by pure coastal hedonism by the warm sea, with dolphins of course. But that's just the surface. From day one, I turned into a real radical hermit. The rest of the time, I spent it calibrating, finding a version of solitude that was less extreme, more livable. Today you could call me a streamlined hermit, or perhaps a high-functioning one. When people hear the word hermit, they picture an old man with a messy beard who left for the deep woods or a monastery, or a wild tech bro hiding in a forest cabin, eating raw moss, avoiding civilization, fighting the system, radical, dramatic, completely unlivable. That's definitely not my case today. Though, to be fair, in the beginning, it was exactly my case, with just a few minor tweaks to this picturesque, authentic drama. And looking back, I can't help but laugh at how intensely serious we were. It was my husband and me, just the two of us, hiding from the world in a house with no heating system and no running water. And yes, we actually ate raw moss. Well, sort of sprouts, raw vegetables and fruits that we grew ourselves. Just imagine years of eating only raw food, even in winter at minus 40 degrees Celsius. That was our way of fighting the matrix. Throwing our outrageous lifestyle into the faces of anyone we could reach through the wires of a barely working internet connection. Yes, the paradox is hilarious. We were fiercely fighting the digital system while desperately clinging to its last wires. The same way I'm using this screen right now to reach you. So, optimization was definitely required, and thankfully, wisdom won over fanaticism. In 2006, the world stood at a crossroads. Humanity chose to walk away from reality, diving into the screens of smartphones and the algorithms of Silicon Valley. The exact year I felt that the world was fundamentally changing. There were no obvious external signs yet. I didn't have any social media back then, and I was physically on the other side of the planet, thousands of miles away from California. But inside, I already knew. I could feel that a global, unseen restructuring was underway. By the way, my dear friend, I feel the exact same thing right now. Look around. The simulation is getting tighter, heavier, and more demanding. Only years later did I look back and connect the dots. I learned that 2006 was the year the first global social network opened its digital gates to the masses. The year Google bought YouTube. The year Twitter was born and Steve Jobs was secretly testing the very first iPhone behind closed doors. It was the quiet birth of the modern simulation. And while humanity was busy lining up to sell their souls to the new digital gods, I pulled the plug. I turned around, walked out into the silence, and discovered how beautiful and light the real world actually is. Society taught you to fear being alone with yourself. And the very word hermit seems utterly extreme, marginal, and even dangerous to you. Because when you are finally left alone in your own silence, you are forced to see the emptiness of this simulation called modern life. But solitude is not an exile. It's a bright space of opportunity. The only territory where you get to drop your social camouflage, your titles, your masks, and everyone else's expectations. In that silence, you don't get lonely. You finally meet the real you. And trust me, it's a wonderful company. You might think that this kind of simple life requires millions in your bank account. It doesn't. I've never had millions or even thousands. It simply requires downsizing of your appetite. Once you refuse to prove your status through expensive toys, luxury items, and endless premium subscriptions, a beautiful truth emerges. A human being needs very little to be well-fed, warm, and absolutely free. The system cannot monetize a person who is already completely content with a warm cup of tea and a silent sunset. So in the end, I came to the solitude as a strategic mental biohacking. A premium balanced diet for the sanity. I didn't run away to live in dirt. I just completely cut out the digital theater. No networking, no corporate smiles, no useless small talk to feed someone else's ego. Solitude but highly optimized. You guessed it, I didn't lose my mind. I finally found it. And it took me many years to reach this balance. So what does my solitude look like today? I still live in isolation, but right in the middle of crowd. Yeah, it's a small seaside coast, but in the summer the density of people here becomes higher than in Manhattan. And I walk through crowded places, yet I feel like a total hermit. It's like visiting another dimension, another planet, a world operating on frantic speeds and plastic values. I walk right through them, but I see the crowd as a massive holographic projection. They don't notice me, they don't approach me. They don't invite me somewhere offering their customized versions of happiness. And if they do, it all goes straight into my mental spam folder. The crowd remains just a background. Not the background of my life, but of their life, which I simply observe with love, while living my own. My life has a different background, different soundtrack, bass I don't need to double just to survive. In these moments, you realize how much energy is wasted on interacting with a world that was forced upon you. You don't want their company, but you must. You don't want to connect, but you owe them. Let's be brutally honest, my dear friend. This isn't social anxiety. I think it's a healthy refusal of social promiscuity. It's a pure social hygiene. Solitude gives you a premium luxury. You only talk to whom you want and when you want, with very rare exceptions. It gives you the time to realize why a certain person is in your life. When I was drowning in the matrix, I had no time. I was just exhausted by people, their demands, and their little games. They irritated me. They drained my nervous system. Now, looking back, I realize that I was irritating and draining them in the exact same way. Unexpected, wasn't it? How could I blame them? We were all just human beings expressing who we were in that moment, with the person life had pushed onto them, me. No one is guilty. We were just caught in the same noisy cage. Solitude in its optimized form is a conscious way of living in every single detail. It is a radical choice to free up time. Time for silence, reflection, crisp awareness and creativity. Time for the people who truly matter and for serving the world, the specific people you actually want to build a reality with. So how do you live with this tomorrow? It's incredibly simple, my dear friend. You don't need to quit your job or run away to a freezing cabin. Tomorrow morning or evening, start with a microdose of isolation. For just 30 minutes, pull the plug. Turn off the notifications, drop the masks, and refuse the social theater. Find a piece of nature that is available to you right now, whether it's a quiet park, a view of the sky, or just a single tree outside your window. Pour yourself some tea, look out, and let your body and mind remember what true peace feels like. Reclaim your right to move at your own speed. The race is over, my dear friend. You can step out of the cage whenever you choose. You are already free.